everyone, and welcome to the first Patreon exclusive tutorial video. Today we are going to be playing with fresh indigo dyeing. Some of you may know that, so this is indigo. This is my bed of indigo behind me. It is, well, indigo is a color. The name of the plants are different. This is Persicaria tinctoria, or Polygonum tinctoria. It goes now by Persicaria, but it used to be Polygonum or Polygonum tinctorium. It is the Japanese indigo. There are a number of other varieties that grow in different areas, but the one that grows best here is the Persicaria tinctorium. There's a variety that grows better in India, another variety of plant, a different type of plant that grows better in Africa. All of these plants, they're called indigo, but it's the chemical inside that we're talking about when we call them indigo. So you can research the different types of indigo-bearing plants and find out if there is one that grows better in your environment and potentially grow your own. These are super simple to grow, and I can get 3, 4, sometimes even 5 harvests a year out of the indigo because I can snip it down on its stem, leaving a couple of nodes where more leaves will begin to grow and branch out. So, what we're going to be doing today is a variety of indigo dyeing that involves salt and indigo and your item to dye, and that's about it. Most people have heard of the ice variety, but last year I discovered a salt dyeing of indigo, and I think it's super fun and amazing and very quick results. So I'm going to be gathering the leaves of some of my larger indigo plants, and we are going to put this gorgeous silk in some water to get it started. And then we're going to mix them together with a little salt, and I'll show you how it works. So the first thing I'm going to do is go put this in some water. I have 2 silks, and I'm using silk today, one, because I have them and I like them. Wool would be hard to use for this process because there's a lot of agitation and it could potentially felt. Plant fibers don't dye as well with this salt method, salt and indigo method, but they do get some color, so you can certainly work with cotton or linen and see how those do for you. But we're going to do silk today, and the first thing I'm going to do is just put this in some water to really saturate it so that it doesn't have any dry spots, and then we'll go from there. I'll see you at the next step. My trusty assistant Mars, and what we are going to do is simply snip about 3 nodes up so that the plant can regenerate and produce more leaves, and we're going to strip the leaves off the stem. The stem does not have any color in it that it will produce, no blue, so we just want the leaves, and we want to keep them fairly fresh. We don't want them to start drying out or becoming limp, because then that process of activating the color has already started simply in the leaf and not being incorporated into our fabric. So, here we go. So right now we are just stripping the leaves off the stem. You don't need a mordant or any special thing for the indigo to remain light and color fast. It does that itself. It doesn't hurt if your fabric has a mordant on it, but it's not necessary. The leaves also don't have to be perfect. If they have bug holes, if they have a little bit of discoloration, that's fine. You don't want ones that are dried up or dead, because that won't give you any color, but any of the greenery is great. So we each have a bowl with our silk in it. I've gently squeezed out the water. It's still pretty wet. but we've gotten most of the water out of there. And we're going to take a nice handful.
Thank you.
Plop it on our silk. And then we're going to add in some salt. I'm going to use about a tablespoon of salt. Oh, it's wet. For each. I'm right-handed. And this is just Himalayan sea salt, but you could use any salt. The salt is going to help break down the cell walls and kind of initiate the enzyme in the indigo to start releasing the blue color so that it can bond to our silk. And you just really want to get your hands in there and squish. You can wear gloves if you want, but it's kind of fun not to. This isn't a quick process. It takes a lot of elbow grease and it will take some time as it breaks down. You'll also get more indigo juice coming out as they break down and start releasing the water, and you can just put that into a bucket. You don't need all that juice in there when it gets really watery. So we've been going for maybe about 5 minutes, and you can really see the greenish blue, the teal starting to come out. See if I can bring it up and show you a little bit better. There you go. You see that green? As the oxygen hits it, it's going to turn even more blue. We've added a few more leaves and a little bit more salt. There's no exact amount. I don't measure out my fiber and then add a certain percentage in leaves. I just add it until I have the color I want. Make sure it gets nice and juicy. At this point we've been at it for maybe 15 minutes or so. And you can see the gorgeous blue that's coming out. With this method you won't get those traditional dark indigo blues, but you get an amazing aquamarine, this beautiful sky blue. When you take it out and it gets more oxygen, it'll deepen in color a bit.
I really did not expect this depth of color.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe a pale green because it's not in a vat process. I thought maybe it would be just a lighter shade of what I've seen, but this is saturated.
Yeah,
beautiful.
especially in the beginning when you start and for the first 5 minutes it just kind of looks like not much.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the color starts deepening and you get this. So we've been going maybe 20-25 minutes.
It's really cool to watch it as it's happening because you can see the different shades over time.
Mm-hmm. And if I wanted to try and get it a little darker, we could take these out, we could let them sit for a while and get some air, and then put them back in a new batch of fresh leaves and add a little more color to it. It won't get, like I said, that deep dark indigo blue, but the teal, or how would you describe this color?
This is a deep teal. This is a really saturated dark teal. It definitely has blue overtones to it.
Super beautiful, especially on the silk. Sapphire.
Something really deep.
All right, so this is just a bucket of water. All I'm doing is taking and rinsing it out, getting that extra plant material off, and then I'm going to hang it out to dry. With indigo, putting it in water a little bit is not going to take the color out. You don't need the heat to set the color. It bonds with a physical bond. So we're just rinsing that extra plant material off, and then I'll hang it to dry. We'll see what it looks like. Okay, we've gotten a gorgeous blue color from the first batch of leaves and silk, and we have decided to throw in a little bit more. This one has some fresh leaves and a cotton napkin. This one has the used leaves and the cotton napkin and a little tiny silk bag. What I'd like to see is how well you can extract from a second batch with the used leaves, as well as how nicely the cotton takes the color. So here we go. So this one, we've been working maybe 15 minutes. This is the cotton that was in the batch that we had already used the leaves. So this is the second batch. So you can see that it is kind of a pale green blue. It has taken some color. The silk that I put in there is much darker. You see the difference? So the silk definitely takes the color of the fresh indigo better than cotton. Mars's, if you want to bring it over here so you can show the blue compared to this one. So she has the cotton in the fresh indigo, and here's the one that was the used batch. So it does take color, definitely. My curiosity is how well it will stay when we rinse it and it's had a little bit of time to sit. So we'll let you know. So here is the slightly pale green cloth that came from the exhaust bath of the indigo leaves, the exhaust squish. Then we have the two silks that we did first. And this is the cotton that came from the fresh leaves. So it's definitely darker and has a pale blue to it. Now, I took the little silk bag from the exhaust squish bath and I put it in the fresh leaves after we took the cotton out. Look at this color. It is a deep, deep emerald green. So I'm going to keep squishing a little bit longer, give it a rinse and hang it up and see what color it turns. This is the little silk bag next to the first silk we did. It has a lot of color in it. I am excited and impressed that we were able to get that much color kind of out of an exhaust bath. But it's small, and there was still a good bit of color left in the leaves, so it is oxygenating right now, and we'll see how much darker it gets. All right, so here it all is. These are the gorgeous silks. You can tell they're still a little bit damp on the ends. It's a little darker there. But it looks like they are going to turn out a really pretty blue color. They've lost, I feel like, that aquamarine, that greenish. They've become more of a, I don't know, almost a gray blue. Super beautiful. And this is the little silk bag that I did with the spent leaves, and that still turned out really dark. So you could get a couple of batches out of this if you do something maybe large with your first fresh leaves and then put something a little smaller, silk, I would say, into the spent leaves. These are the two cotton that came out, and I don't know if you can see, there's a slight difference. This one's a little more pale with a bit more green to it, and this one's a little more blue. They did get some color, but it's pale. It's definitely a lot less than the silk. So the plant fibers just don't take the fresh indigo as well. It's the same if you're doing an ice bath with indigo. It just doesn't take it as well. You need to up the pH to a much more basic pH to be able to get those colors to bond to your plant fibers. So here's a recap of the basic process. First, you have to have access to your fresh indigo, which is easy to grow in many parts of the world. Depending on where you live, take a look at indigo producing plants and see if you can find one that will grow well in your region. And then you're going to have your fiber, preferably a protein fiber. Silk, I would say, is probably the best because you don't want to squish too much wool unless you're felting it on purpose. You'll wet it, make sure it's wet all the way through, gather your plants. We probably used 30 to 40 plants, the leaves from about 30 to 40 plants for this. So it is kind of leaf intensive. Strip the leaves off the stems and start squishing them into the fiber with a little bit of salt, about a tablespoon of salt. Keep on squishing 15, 20, 25 minutes until you get the color that you want, and then throw something else in if you need to. And again, if you want to take it out, let it aerate a little bit, and then put it back in with a few more fresh leaves, you may be able to darken the color. And that's fresh indigo with salt. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.